the Message Bible, those of you that have the Message Bible, Matthew 5, it says, "Let me tell you why you are here. You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth." Isn't that a nice way to put it? I have a friend who's a rapper, and he used to always say, "What's your flavor, neighbor?" Do you know who I'm talking about? What's your flavor, neighbor? But we are to bring out God's flavor on this earth. You see why you're so vital, you're so important? Because, as you guys know, you can tell me more about it than I can tell you. You go to school, you go to college, you work every day with people that are not believers. And you see how dark their lives are. It seems like people are committing suicide more and more, especially young people in this day, in this time. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Somebody tell me, what do you think? Why do you think people are doing that? Facebook? Can you explain it a little bit?
Facebook, everybody starting drama running statuses, Twitter.
Okay.
Maybe because they're not loved.
Okay, so people don't feel love. Hang with us.
They have no outlet for their anger.
Okay. All good reasons. They have no outlet for their anger. Anybody else have an idea why people are so depressed and they're committing suicide? Kenny? That's a good one. They don't have understanding about God's love? Yes. Bullying. And was that what you were talking about too in Facebook? Bullying going on? Anybody else? Yes. Media gives them a false reality and they can't match it. Good. Wait, I can't hear Chris. What is it? No hope and no purpose. All of those are reasons why we are called to this earth. Okay, you got some more? Okay. some eager gentlemen.
You like family issues? Everyone's trying to fit in.
All right. All of those are very good reasons why people are committing suicide. They're hopeless. Some of you may know someone who just kind of has a really dark personality. They're always down. They always seem upset or angry, frustrated. That's your mission field. When you go to work, when you go to school, university, college, wherever, you are called to a mission field. You don't have to go with us to the Dominican Republic or Guatemala or Haiti. You have a mission field right where you go to school, where you work. And so you are called to be salt to this world. The Message Bible says that's why you're here. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness and will end up in the garbage. Here's another way to put it. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a lampstand. Now that I put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open, house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, the generous Father that is in heaven. So basically, we are called to the earth to represent God, to represent God's love. Because how else are we going to get the love of Christ into your schools, into where you work, where you go to college? How is God's love going to get there if you don't take it there? You know the professors in colleges today, most of them don't really shine God's love. In fact, it's probably quite the opposite. And it's the same with teachers these days. Most Christian teachers, go to Christian schools and teach there because they get tired of all the problems in public schools. So that leaves the public schools with godless teachers who are teaching you day in and day out. So where is the love of God going to shine? Through you. You are valuable. You are important. You have purpose. You have the love of God within you. You have the light of Christ within you. So shine. Don't be shy. Don't hide your light. Let it shine. I want to tell you a little bit more about salt. How many of you like this popcorn better? I like that. Yeah.
Like
How many of you like
better.
the first one better? Just. Oh well, you don't count. No, I'm kidding. Let me tell you a little bit more about salt. The Bible contains a lot of references about salt. It's used metaphorically to signify permanence, loyalty, durability, fidelity, usefulness, value, and purification. You know, back in Jesus' time, they didn't have a refrigerator. They didn't have ice. The way that they kept things from spoiling, especially meat, was by salt. They used salt, and that was what they used to make things last longer and preserve things. So if you are called to be salt to this world, then you are called to preserve the world. When you know a lot of young people around you that are wanting to end their lives, give up on living, you're called to preserve them. You're called to give them life. How? Can you give something away that you don't have?
No.
No. So you have to have life. You have to have the love of Christ in you. And so that's what these crossover times are for. When we have worship, why do y'all sit in your seats? You have an opportunity to come up here and just get lost in the presence of God. Take advantage of that. Use that time when our worship team works really hard to have a good worship list and just to have a flow. Take advantage of that. Come up here and just kind of separate yourself from your friend for a moment and just press into God. This is where you're going to fill up. This is like the filling station. This is like the service station, the gas station. Up here, every crossover, even on Sundays. Up here, you just come in and there's nothing special or magical that happens to you. It's just, you just are isolating yourself alone with God. You are pushing away from people and situations and whatever you're going through, and you're just coming up here and saying, God, I'm here just to worship you, sing to you. You will be amazed at how God starts filling you. For those of you that go around the edges, I see you over there, you're worshiping. Tell me what that means to you. I'm going to start with you, Angie, because I know you're really faithful in that corner and you just kind of get lost. So tell us what that means to you when you get lost in worship.
It's a big booster, honestly. It's like when you plug in your cell phone, you know, your iPhones, you guys need to recharge that battery, and that's what it is to me. It's literally God recharging me, because during the week, we get torn apart, and physically, emotionally, spiritually especially if you're walking with God, you are going to get torn apart daily, and you just have to be aware of that. And a lot of us get torn down, and we're so far away from God that we're not even realizing we're getting torn down. So when you get lost in that moment, that's when God really opens your eyes in all aspects of your life and just recharges you, and it's intimate. If you guys really want intimacy, you're not going to get that with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You're going to get that with time with God. So when you have that moment, it's unbelievable.
Good job, Angie. So this is why I'm so compelled for you guys to get up here and just get lost in worship. It's not to make the worship team feel good. It's not to make a show. It's just to get lost in God. And I love how you put that, Angie, just kind of recharge. So that's why I'm like just so desirous and just, like, come on, you guys, because I know this is a gas station, spiritually speaking, where you can just fill up and fuel up on God. Because, listen, I know school's getting ready to start in a few weeks, and you guys have to go back out to the lion's den, so to speak.
Boo!
And, you have 3 weeks to really refuel yourself. I want to encourage you. before school starts, give God your all. Give him more of you. When we have time, we cross over here for worship. In a few weeks, we're going to have an all worship service. I want to encourage you to get out of your seats and just get your spiritual battery recharged up here, because you're going to need it. You can't give out something that you don't have. So you got to come in here, and it's like you're plugging into the light again, and your light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. So when you go out these doors and you go back to school or work or wherever, you have the light of Christ shining brightly in you. You have something to give away. You have salt. Like you have the better popcorn with good, delicious salt. You see the value. Salt adds flavor. Let me tell you, the world needs you, because you add a flavor to this dark, ugly world that it needs. And you know something else? Your friends might give you a hard time about being, oh, you're a Christian, you're a goody two-shoes. But let me tell you this, when they have a problem, they're going to seek you out. They're going to want to find the Christian. They're going to want to find someone who believes something and get their help, or maybe ask you for prayer or whatever. And let me tell you something else. The world, even your friends that make fun of you, the ones who are hopeless and down and discouraged, they don't have God. They don't have the privilege of having a relationship with him like you do. In this world, they're looking for something, because we all have that void in our hearts that only God can fill. And those of you who've accepted Christ, you know what I'm talking about. You have a new peace and a new joy and a new strength that you didn't have before. They don't have that. And they're looking for that through partying and, you know, everything out there. I don't have to describe it to you. And they're not finding any answer. They're not finding any peace. They're not finding anything to fill that void, that hole inside of them. So they're looking, because they hear about God. And some of them know you're a Christian. And they're just hoping you're legit. They're hoping they see something in you that's real. Oh yeah, they might give you a hard time. They might tease you. They might cut you down. They might laugh at you. But inside, I guarantee you, in the deepest part of them, they're hoping that you are real. They're hoping that, you know, you talk about God and they hear some of the things you say. They're just hoping that you won't fail them. They're hoping that you have something that's real, because they know they need it, the majority of them. And in a crisis situation, they're going to come running to you if you're real. If you are salt, if you are light. Do you know another thing that salt does? It heals wounds. It hurts. Like, you know, something that really hurts bad. Like sometimes, have you ever gotten those mouth ulcers or canker sores? How many of you get those? I'm just curious. We get them in our family. So my whole family, before, you know, when I was little growing up, we would get those. And sometimes, when I would get one, I mean, in my mouth sometimes, it's TMI, but I get like a gaping hole in my mouth if I let that thing go for so long. And sometimes I would just get so frustrated that I had it for like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and it's not going away. I just pack it down with salt. And I'm telling you, when it's really a deep one, a canker or ulcer, whatever you call it, in your mouth, and you pack that thing down with salt, ooh, it's like, ooh. But it begins the healing process. You are salt to this earth. Even those of you who just recently accepted Christ, maybe you're just kind of like a baby Christian. You're just walking baby steps with him. It doesn't matter. Once you've accepted Christ into your life, he's in there. You have the Holy Spirit living inside of you. And there's no little baby Holy Spirit. So just because you're a new Christian doesn't mean you got the baby Holy Spirit. And when you get old like me, you'll have the big mama Holy Spirit. No, when you accept Christ, you have the Holy Spirit, the same one that I do. And he helps you. He comforts you. He strengthens you. And then you go out to someone else and you do that for them because you might be the Jesus, the only Jesus they will ever know.